Jai Swaminarayan. Have a good day to all my dear students. Now, today we are just discuss about the concept of frequency in continuous time and discrete time signals. Prior to that, we just go through the brief overview of our previous lectures. So, in our previous lectures, we already discussed about overview of signals, define the signals, various parameters associated with the signals, how a signal can be generated from a transducer or a systems. Then we just go for the signal processing, why signal processing is required, what is the importance of signal processing in electronic circuit, that we just go through it. Then we go for the overview of system, how a system can be characterized, how system will works and various types of systems. Then why digital signal processing is required. In that topic we discuss about the various advantages of digital signal processing and a drawback of digital signal processing. Then we just learn about the various classification of signals, in that deterministics, non-deterministics, even, odd, energy and power signal, etc. Now today we just discuss about the concept of frequency in continuous time and discrete time signals. The concept of frequency is similar to the students in engineering and the sciences. Concept remains same. We all know what frequency is, right? So frequency is the rate of oscillation. That fundamental definition all knows. But how the various parameters of any frequency is. So today we learn about the various parameters that are associated with continuous time and discrete time signals. So this concept in basics in, for example, for designing of any radio receiver, high fidelity system, spectral filter, color photography, etc. From the physics we know that the frequency is closely related to a specific type of periodic motion called harmonic oscillation, which is described by sinusoidal function. Very most popular function is sinusoidal function. Each and every frequency harmonic oscillations can be characterized in a sinusoidal way. So sinusoidal function is the most common function to represent the any harmonic oscillation. Actually, it has a dimension of inverse time. We know the concept of frequency is directly concept of time and it has a inverse time. Thus, we should expect that the nature of time would affect the nature of frequency accordingly. As we know, 1 upon t is equal to 1 upon f, or t is equal to 1 upon f, vice versa. Now, let me take an example. A continuous time sinusoidal signal. A simple harmonic oscillation is mathematically described by simple cosine function. So let me take an example. A continuous sinusoidal signal x a of t is equal to a cos omega t. The nomenclature a is represents the, it is a continuous time, means analog signal is there. So that is represent in its angular velocity or a harmonic oscillation. Now if we want to represent the same function in frequency, in terms of frequency, so let me take x a of t is equal to a cos 2 pi f plus theta, where omega is equal to 2 pi f and t is that. F t is just missing over here, not to worry, you have to consider t is that. So 2 pi f t plus theta, because omega is equal to 2 pi f, we replace this omega is equal to 2 pi f, and the same function can be represented in a graphical way. X of t is equal to 2 pi ft plus theta. So in that we just visualize that theta is an phase angle, initial phase angle. So at the zero time instant our signal having a some value, so that represents the initial phase angle, and value of amplitude is varied with respect to time. So this is a simple graphical representation of our continuous time sinusoidal signal. So now the analog sinusoidal signal is characterized by some of the properties. So let me just look out the properties of analog sinusoidal signal. So in that, for every first property of our analog sinusoidal signal is for every fixed value of frequency f, xa of t is periodic. Right? Indeed, it easily that we can say that every value of frequency f x a t is periodic because x a of t is repeated after every 2 pi t value. So let can be mathematically expressed x a of t plus tp, that is equal to x a of t, where tp is equal to 1 over f, the rate of oscillation. We just see in our previous slide the graphical representation, repetition rate, right? Our signal is repeated at each tp period. So at each tp period signal value is the same. So that's why for the every fixed value of frequency we can say that f is a periodic, xa is a periodic. So at each period of tp our xa is equal to xa of t. Continuous time sinusoidal signal with different frequencies are themselves different. We know that at each different frequency signal are having a different continuous time sinusoidal signal can be represented. Now, increase the frequency f results in increase in the rate of oscillation of signal for a particular time. If we said that if we increase the frequency f, so for a unit time the number of oscillation is increases as f is increases. So because why it is so happened, because we know that the rate of oscillation of signal in sense that most period are included in a given time interval, that is unit time. We observe that if f is equal to 0, the value tp is equal to infinite, right? It considers that the fundamental rational f is equal to 1 over tp due to continually of time variable t. We increase the value of f, right, without limit with corresponding increasing rate of oscillation. The relationship between the frequency and time, as we increase the time f will be decreased in similar way. Okay, by definition the frequency is inherently positive physical quantity. That means frequency have always in a positive integer, means we have a positive value of integer which can be represent the frequency. We definitely obviously we know why positive physical, because it's a rate of oscillation. So and f is a number of oscillation per unit time. So but obvious it have a positive integer value, right? Sorry. So this is obvious if we interpret the frequency as a number of cycle per unit time in a periodic signal. However, many cases for the mathematical convenience we need to introduce a negative frequencies. Sometimes we see that f is sometimes we this nomenclature is used plus or minus f, negative f is there. That is just for simplification of the mathematical expression only, but there is no physical existence of negative frequency, keep in mind. However, in many cases the mathematical convenience we need to introduce a negative frequencies, and that is for mathematical calculations only. There is no any significance of negative frequency. Okay, now let me take an example of discrete time sinusoidal signal. A discrete time sinusoidal signal can be expressed as xn is equal to a cos omega n plus theta, where the value of n varies from minus infinite to infinite. Here we use a nomenclature x of n. For discrete time, always we use the nomenclature x of n, while in continuous we use x of t. Got it? Okay. Yes. Now xn is equal to a cos omega n plus theta. N is an integer variable called a sample numbers. Here a discrete time is there. You already know the discrete time signal. Discrete time means it's not a real signal. It is a sampled version of our analog signal. We are taking a sample of our analog signal in a fixed interval type. So that is called a discrete time. That's why here we use a n, and it is called a integer variable called a sample number, and a is the amplitude of sinusoidal signal as it is, and omega is the frequency in radians per sample, and theta is the phase angle as same as in analog. So xn is equal to a cos 2 pi f t plus theta in terms of frequency. Here also we can use the same thing, and here a graphical representation of the our function xn is equal to a cos omega n plus theta. At each instant we take a sample, so that is a function, that is a sample number 1, that is sample number 2, sample number 3, sample number 4, etc. So each sample number represents a one function, and the accumulation of that all sample is created our whole signal. You know how a sampler circuit is work. Sampler circuit, that is the basic of our analog to digital conversion. Now another property of discrete sinusoidal signal is a discrete time sinusoidal is periodic only if its frequency f is a rational number. So from by definition a discrete time signal x of n is periodic with period n, capital N is our represent the period n, right? Only and only if x of n plus n is equal to n for all the value of n, right? The smallest value of n for which the above equation is true is called a fundamental period, right? So for the fundamental period x of n plus capital N is equal to x of n, right? Then it is called a periodic signal only and only f is a rational number. How f is a rational number? Let me just see. For example, let me take an example, right? The to find out the proof of that periodicity of our discrete time signal for sinusoidal, we have one sinusoidal wave with the frequency of f0, right? With the frequency of f0 is periodic. How it can be? So let we know the sinusoidal frequency, sinusoidal function with the frequency f0 is represented mathematically cos of 2 pi f0 n plus n plus theta is equal to cos of 2 pi f0 n plus theta. In that we know this is a cosine function, so cosine function is repeated after each 2 pi period. So 2 pi period, after each 2 pi period we are getting the same value. So that's why we can write this same one as 2 pi f0 n is equal to 2k pi, or vice versa, f0 is equal to k by n easily. f0 is equal to k by n, 2 pi will be cancelled, 2 pi pi. So f0 n is equal to k, so f0 is equal to k by n. So if f0 is rational, then and then we can say that discrete time sinusoidal signal is periodic. Here is the proof. We can get the value of f0, find out the value of f0. f0 is the repeated rate, and that is depends on the number of sample, and k is the constant. Now another property of discrete time sinusoidal signal is a discrete sinusoidal signal whose frequencies are separated by an integer multiple of 2 pi are identical. So let how it can be. It's a simple, we know the cosine function, so the let we are just writing over here a discrete time sinusoidal function, that is cos of omega 0 plus 2 pi n, actually cos of omega 0 n, but now we are taking an example that repeated of 2 pi, so are identical. So let me add, after each 2 pi value we add 2 pi to our original value, but we know 2 pi cos 2 pi f is equal to cos f. So similar way, cos 2 pi omega 0 n plus theta is equal to cos of omega 0 n plus 2 pi n plus theta, that is equal to cos of omega 0 n plus theta, because 2 pi plus anything 2 pi plus, that is equal to 2 pi plus theta is equal to theta. So for the cosine function 2 pi will be 2 pi term will be vanished, so remaining term will be omega 0 and theta. So cos of omega 0 1 plus theta. So once again, each after each 2 pi value all the samples are identical for the discrete time sinusoidal signal. As a result, all the sinusoidal sequences where x of k is equal to a cos omega n k is equal plus theta, where value of k is equal to 1 2 3. Here some another properties, that is the highest rate of oscillation in discrete time sinusoidal is attained when omega is equal to pi or minus pi or equivalent, f is equal to 1 by 2 or f is equal to minus 1 by 2. So in similar way, cos of omega 0 n can be represented. This it means that if we increase the sampling frequency, right, we may get more number of sample. In another way, if we varies the frequency, if our f remain constant, if we varies the frequency, number of samples per unit will be decrease. As we just see in that case, f is equal to 0, omega 0 is equal to 0. So this is a fundamental frequency. We are getting a fixed value of amplitude, that is if omega 0 is equal to 0, then we will get the maximum value of a. Now we change the frequency, omega 0 is equal to pi by 8, so we are getting a x number of values. If we change it, omega 0 is equal to pi by 2, so number of sample is half compared to number omega 0 is equal to pi by 8. As we keep a sampling frequency constant, we vary the only frequency of oscillation of our signal. So as we increase the frequency, we may get the decreasing number of samples as the sampling frequency remain constant. So this is the very fundamental thing to be understood while we go for the digitization of any signal. This plays a vital role, and this is the basics of sampling theorem. With the help of this phenomenon, we are just go for the sampling theorem. And what is the sampling theorem? We all know sampling theorem is the basics of analog to digital conversion. So in our next session, we learn about the analog to digital conversion and digital to analog conversion, and how a analog signal can be converted into digital way, and how the digital signal can be converted into analog way. So just we are taking some of the examples in our next session for analog to digital and digital to analog conversion. Thank you very much.